Thanks. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. I'm Till. So before you can see the Jills, you have to see the Till. Welcome. I'm heading up the direct sales activities at Springer, so meaning that whenever a customer comes to a Springer website, wants to put money on a table, so the virtual table obviously, and then actually gets content, so it's the responsibility of my team to make this customer happy. So what I would like to do over the next 15 minutes is to shed some light on what we've done over the past slightly over a year in terms of marketing, and I'm glad that October picked up the comparison with the trade publishers, because a lot of things that we do is not that far away from the marketing that trade publishers do actually. Before I start, I would like to look back what I found when I started. I started almost 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago. It was in June 2011. When the Springer board decided that someone has to take care of those individual customers. I spent the first couple of months in internal research coming up with a strategy, but what I found was that the situation was quite good. So there was this massive amount of content in the Springer database, over 50,000 ebooks, articles from over 2,000 scientific journals. So it was really massive. On the other hand, there was already a very powerful backend that was at this time already enabled to deliver the content in any kind of format we would like to have it. So which is good, because a lot of publishers are not that far. So that was there as well. And there were already established processes to actually feed those data into the different websites, which is another thing that is that was very fortunate, because usually to build this takes a lot of time, so at least 6 months, maybe 12. So that was fine. And last but by far not least, Springer already owned 2 very popular websites. So Springer.com with a PageRank 8, Springer Links to the B2B site with a PageRank 9. That's very good, because that means that traffic was never an issue for us. It was more converting the traffic that actually comes to the site. So the big question was, how are we going to simply bring together the situation at Springer with the demand. The demand was obviously there. So Springer sold print books for a long time, but there was no marketing, no really B2C driven processes in place. It was scattered across the company. The responsibilities were not clear, but already it was a substantial business. So my mission was bringing this together. Before we actually started, we had to took some hurdles. Just wanted to point out a few. Strategy, okay, sure. So you have to know what you do before you start doing it. But hiring the right people is the first thing I would like to emphasize on. And I can't emphasize this enough. So you really need the right people to do this job. You usually, or not necessarily, find them within the publisher, because, as I said, it's more closer to trade what we do. So actually, we more focused on hiring people from startups or B2C companies, which we did. It turned out that Berlin is a very nice location doing so, because in Europe it's the #1 hub for e-commerce. So there's a living network of the people you need. So the acquisition of those people is easier than in other parts of Germany, Europe, or even the world. So listen to customers, okay, sure. So before you start, you should know what your customers really want to be successful. And the fourth one, plan for a minimum viable product. Sounds strange, but that was one of the learnings. So when you start and you know what you want to do, you easily have thousands of ideas what you could do. And that might distract you from doing the right things in the beginning. So really shoot for something that you can sell, for an environment that works for the customers, and then improve later on. So that was something that I wouldn't say learned the hard way, but I would do some things differently if I would start again now. Fix the basics, B2C in brackets. That's I don't know whether it's very Springer typical, but what I found was that the whole system landscape was totally built on B2B business. From the payment system, which was not there because most of the payments were invoiced, so there was hardly any online payment system installed, from doing the actual invoices, from leading the customers through the site, the checkout process, all that kind of stuff. Something was there, but it was very, very focused on B2B. So you keep an eye on we had to keep an eye on building it B2C. And then my favorite one, evangelize internally. So what I've heard a lot of times was, well, our customers are different. They don't buy this. it won't work with our customers. So the answer was, that's not true. I mean, we are talking about the same customers who actually buy shoes from Zappos or the latest Lego toy for their kids from Toys R Us online. So what shall be different? So that's what I told anyone who wanted to hear and all the guys who didn't want to hear it. So actually you can sell ebooks or the products we sell like you sell shoes or anything else on the web. It's not that much of a difference. So what we are currently selling is, and that's still the early stage of what we are doing, is ebooks, print books, and PPV. PPV stands for pay-per-view, so that's actually articles and articles from the journals we publish and chapters from the books we publish. So the big question now, I come closer to what we did in marketing, was what actually is the goal? I mean, you should know what you're shooting for before you start. And actually, our plan is to establish Springer.com as the leading B2C sales site for any kind of Springer content and titles. We sell our content through affiliates, other e-retailers, Amazon, Google, Apple, you name it. So we work together with all of them. What the goal definitely is to actually put a focus on our own website and establish our website as the #1 place to shop for Springer content. So increased revenue generated on Springer.com, okay. The KPI, key performance indicator, is the year-on-year growth. So we are in a very good shape there. So as I said, we started last year. So we see triple-digit growth there. So very successful. Increased the share of ebook sales. So as we only sold print books earlier, so it was necessary to actually increase the share of the ebooks we sell, because we didn't sell those ebooks to individuals before. That's really a new business, and it's currently skyrocketing. So it's another great success too. And then the third one is a little more tricky. So raise the share of wallet of our customers. And that actually circles back to what I said earlier. So we use other channels to sell our content too. And in a certain way, they are competitors and affiliate at the same time. So speaking of Amazon, of course, so they sell our print books, they sell our ebooks. We do the same thing. The responsibility for managing their business lies in my team as well. So we always have to balance what we do. But clearly, the focus is on selling it directly because the margin is higher, of course. On the other hand, I would not like to limit any customer or tell the customer where to buy our content. There is a good reason why people shop at Amazon, because it's very convenient. There is another good reason why people shop from Apple, because they are so tied to the Apple device landscape. They love to read the books on their iBooks. So if they want to, well, sure, they should do. But I would be even more happier if they would buy the content directly from us. So the value proposition, another important thing before you actually start the marketing of the Springer shop, is that we actually have all titles available, which is not true for all of our affiliates. So basically they get all the same content that we get, but for a couple of certain reasons, they don't have each and every ebook, for instance, for sale on their own site. We do. The other thing is that our ebooks in this case are not tied to a certain device, system landscape, whatever. So they are DRM free. You can use them wherever you want. You can copy them across devices so that there is no limitation at all. So what are we doing in terms of marketing? 3 main pillars. I would like to put a focus on 2 of them. First line I would call baseline. So that's actually the noise that brings in, or should bring in, a constant growth rate. And helps you grow your business the natural way, I would call it. So actually without any coupon or discount activities, whatever. So that's simply bringing in a massive amount of traffic and hope for converting this traffic into actually buying customers. The other thing is running promotions. So this is something that we do constantly, not only to actually throw out our titles for a lower price tag. The reason behind this is that apart from the revenue the revenue impact you see from each and every promotion activity, after those activities ends, you usually see higher rates of converting traffic on the whole site. So meaning that you can activate people by running promotion activities. It's like a stairway. So you start at a certain level, then you run a promotion activity. It actually boosts up the revenues, but it goes never back to the original level. It usually stays on a higher level. So that's why we use those tools carefully to actually erase the activity of existing users and attract new buyers to the site. The third one is very Springer specific because I mentioned earlier we do have Springer.com and we do have Springer Link as the B2B site. This is where all the access of our institutional customers take place. And cross promotions mean that we actually run promotions that connect both of these sites. Just one example, if someone wants to buy a chapter of an ebook, we actually, before he enters the checkout process, we present a pop-up that tells the customers, well, you are about to buy a chapter for, in this case, $24.95, so it's a rather high price. But you can buy the whole ebook for, and then we pull the price from the database, and that converts like hell. So I mean, before people actually pay $24.95 for a single chapter, they obviously rather spend $50 on the whole ebook or 60, whatever the price is. For us, it's just another download, but twice as much of the revenue. So very nice tools, but I don't want to emphasize that more on that. So the strategy, as I said, baseline, and this is a further breakdown what we actually do and mean with enhanced baseline marketing. That takes care of the noise of the traffic that comes in. So it is mainly PPC, pay-per-click, so Google AdWords mainly. So we do it for brand and product. Brand means we buy specific AdWords to actually promote Springer, which works differently across the world. So in Europe, it's pretty easy because Springer is a very strong brand. It is a strong brand in the US as well, but here we compete with other Springers, like Jerry, for instance. So, I mean, you really have to take care of what you pay for an AdWord, but it simply works. Search engine optimization, so it's not rocket science at all. By the way, nothing we do is rocket science or reinventing the wheel. It's simply applying trade publishing or usually B2C marketing behavior to actually our products or what we do. So SEO, very straightforward. We do have, for instance, just one example, different discipline pages for the disciplines of the ebooks we sell that attracts actually or that causes a higher ranking in the Google search algorithm, which brings in more traffic. Affiliates, so that's one thing that we use more and more. So we work together with two big affiliate networks, means that those networks usually have thousands of affiliates. We play out certain banner campaigns or placements, and they take care of spreading those advertisements across the net. So that means all of a sudden your banners will pop up on thousands of websites out there because they are handled by this one and only affiliate network, which is pretty easy to scale. So in the beginning, it's harder because the affiliates have to actually pick up your banners, put them on the sites, then they get a revenue share of every product we actually sell. But if you see some traction there, they usually, or the banners usually attract even more affiliates because they have an internal ranking of sites that bring in most money for the affiliates. The affiliates have a look on those lists and then tend to use the publishers that grant them higher rates of revenues or that actually draw more traffic in. So that's a very powerful tool. Display means that we run display, so banner and other placements on our own site, but also on partner sites, and we handle them in-house, so we don't go through an affiliate network. And then cross and upsells is what I mentioned a little earlier with the other Springer website. One-time campaigns. Three things we do currently. So the most powerful channel is doing mailings. So we send out newsletters or promote our discount activities on to email addresses that we already own. So we have a very huge database of users that we already know, that used Springer in the past, that have signed up for certain newsletters. But sometimes we also buy addresses to simply widen or increase the reach of our message and to attract new buyers to the site. Display is another thing we do with on-time campaigns. So actually placing advertisements that call out a certain discount campaign on certain books, for instance. So all what we do is very data-driven. So we look very, very deep in the data we got, and we got a lot of data. So and try to improve after each and every campaign we run. That's something that is crucial to be successful. Retail is details, so you really have to look into the details of what happens on your site, what happens when you run activities and campaigns, what happens with the noise, so the traffic that comes in through the baseline marketing, all that kind of stuff. So that tells you so many things on how your customers behave, what your customers want, and what the value for the customers is. That you, if you're lucky, you simply have to apply what the data tells you. So that's really important. Our key performance indicators are revenue, of course, but also the cost per acquisition. So what's the price tag for a new customer? So we have an eye on that one, and of course the return on investment. So whenever we run a campaign, we can put a price tag onto it. Afterwards, we can really track it down, the revenue to a single cent, so what we earned from the campaign, and we can compare it, measure the success rate, and further improve the activities. That's an overview, so we don't have to go into details, but actually that's anything we do with for the enhanced baseline marketing. So PPC, I mentioned that already, and it shows what the impact is, what the time frame is. So do you use it short term, mid term, or long term, what the cost is, and how we track it. In the tracking column, you will see a lot of web track. So, and I expect that most of you don't know that. So that's a company, so another Berlin-based company that actually enables you to track what goes on your site. Pretty much what Omniture or Coremetrics are doing. So, but in, I think, slightly better way, because as far as I know, that's the only company that supplies data, raw data in real time, which means that if you want to, you can send out an email, you can push the button sending out the email, and then you can see what happens on your site in real time. You can piggyback on single accounts, actually walk with them through your site and see what they're actually doing. Where do they leave the site? What is the exit rate at a certain point in your site? And this again gives you a lot of information what might be wrong with your site. So if you see a high exit rate in the checkout, that tells you to improve the checkout, obviously. So again, if you think about tracking, so you should check out WebTrack. Very good company. So pretty much what I just said is listed up here. This affiliates SEO, PPC, product, and brand. And we see some examples later on. Another one that you might not know is SellAround. It's a company that's basically focused on doing social marketing. So, and we use this through our editorials with the authors, for instance. So whenever an author actually publishes an ebook, we grant them the option to run a SellAround campaign. That means they can put the information of the recently published book into the network. So Facebook, Twitter, all the kind of social networks. And it's not only telling their network, well, I just published my book, and here's a link to Springer.com, but it puts it in a very nice merchandise widget, which tells you the abstract or shortened abstract, the front cover of the book. It tells you the price, so it looks really nice, and it has a high conversion rate, so it works pretty good. So another one that I should put out, Facebook offers, of course. It's something we recently started trying, and it's quite successful already, but we still have to scale it and learn it. Of course, and it's the second one, I almost missed it. So usually you already send out a lot of emails to your existing customers. At Springer, for instance, we have the so-called new book alert. So when people sign up, they get a marketing or an email push whenever a book is being published in their area of interest. And it's not rocket science to simply piggyback on them and to put a simple, small link into that newsletter, buy it now. So if people want to buy it, they end up on Springer.com and can buy it. So that's actually something that converts very well, because it's so established already. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If there are certain marketing activities, try to use them for your purposes. Just an overview on how we started. So we are a small team, so we did not start with each and every activity from the beginning. And that shows actually how the different activities kicked in over time. Today we actually do all of the activities, but it was interesting because we started with PPC, then we actually entered the NBA, which is the new book alert at Springer, added SEO, and each and every time we put a new activity on the list and started doing it, we could see an immediate impact on the traffic and on the revenues, because usually conversion goes up as well. Coming to the one-time marketing campaigns, and almost to an end because time is over already. Those are a couple of examples of campaigns we run as one-timers that I mentioned in the beginning, so that are actually heavy discount activities, but for a very, very short period. And that brings in a lot of traffic and a lot of revenue, but the most valuable thing they bring in is more revenue in the future. So people really start buying more full-price ebooks if you actually draw them into the experience with a discount offer. So that's something that really works. And another thing that we learned, very interesting, so we never run a campaign on print books on Springer.com, though we sell all the Springer print books. So there was no campaign because we are very focused on the e-part of the business. But what we have seen is that though we only promoted the e-books, all of a sudden the sales of print books jumped. And we see a double-digit growth there, whereas the whole market obviously declines. So that's something that has to do with the awareness of Springer.com as a place to shop Springer content. So obviously people who bought ebooks in another situation bought print books, and they did not buy the print book on Amazon or another affiliate, but they bought it directly from us, which is nice for us. So. Cyber Monday is something that basically anyone does. So we did it as well, very successfully, 50% on all math and engineering for 5 days. Christmas gift card promotions. So that's, in this case, it was a $1 and euro promotion, so not a discount, but really a voucher that you could use on the site. Medicine special, 50% on selected medicine titles. Life science special that we run recently. So it pretty much looks all the same, but it's in different fields, and it's a different target audience. So it's never that we shoot out broad emails to each and every customer we have, because they would get spammed and it would not work. So we really think hard on who to target with which titles. And so far it works pretty good. Here you can see some examples. So bear with me that most of them are in German, because for instance, the affiliate program we run in Germany first. So we now expand into the US. So you will see hopefully more English language banner on US sites, but this is how it looks. So that's a typical voucher site, so where all of a sudden Springer vouchers showed up. So that's an example for a brand campaign. So we actually bought Google AdWords, so obviously Springer here, and then put the new releases of certain disciplines right underneath the link. It has a very good conversion rate as well. Product campaigns. So what we have done is that we actually build a data feed from our database directly into Google Shopping and partially into the Google AdWords engine. That means that if you look up certain titles, you should see the titles from Springer.com on top of the list. And this is one example. So Barnes & Noble, Springer, Overstock, Big Planet, so whatever is there. But usually you see Springer number 1 or number 2 or number 3 there. So simply by building a feed from our backend database into Google. That usually helps you if people really search for a certain title. So that's nothing if they search for medicine or whatever. So it does not help. But if people start searching for textbook of clinical pediatrics, obviously it pops up and then hopefully converts. So some campaign highlights. Cyber Monday. So that's something where we run apart from the email campaign, a social media campaign. You can see the tweet up there. and the link actually brought you to a landing page. That's another learning. So usually we build up landing pages that again explain what we do, what the discount is, what kind of titles are covered by the campaign. So it led the users directly from Twitter to the landing page. And that's another holiday special, the €20 or $25 gift card that I mentioned earlier. Again, so that's actually what we used as advertisements, so that banner ads, and they actually brought the customer directly to another landing page. Medicine, that's an email. So this is how a typical email campaign looks. So we tell the customers, well, you can get 50% off ebooks in medicine and biomed. So if you click on these links, you end up on another landing page again. But it already shows best-selling titles with a discounted price in the email already. So to actually hopefully increase the click-through rate, because we know which titles sell best, and actually can use those to attract the awareness whenever we send out an email. Another thing, that's 50% off all ebooks and life sciences. And what we usually do, and that's why we call it last call, we send out the email in the beginning of the period. So if it's a 5-day period, it goes out on day 1. So that would look like this. And then on the last day, we send out the last call email, and guess what? We have the highest revenue rate on the very final day. So it's really that people, once they know it's the last chance, then they start buying. So it's funny, but it works. So I would advise you doing the same. So takeaways, and that's already the end of the presentation. And that's only takeaways from our experience at Springer, given the certain the special situation Springer is in, and the system landscape, whatever. So retail is detail. I mentioned it earlier. It is very important. So, and it's very different from publishers usually do, because they are so B2B driven. You have to look into each and every single data point that you can get to try to improve the experience, to try to raise the conversion rate, to make it a better experience and make it a better place to shop for your customers. So this is really something you have to keep in mind. Focus, focus, focus. There are a lot of things that can distract you, because you can do so different things along the way. So really remind yourself on what the strategy is and what you would like to achieve throughout this certain business year, and then focus on achieving this goal, not to get distracted. Our customers are not different. So that's one of the key takeaways, obviously. They really behave like they would buy toys or shoes or whatever. It's exactly the same behavior. Though the ebooks or books are obviously much more expensive than the average pair of shoes. So, but it works. And cooperate. And this is something that I did not mention earlier, but it's very important. So when you start thinking about what customers might want, you will stumble upon demands that you cannot meet because you are not there yet, because your backend systems are not built in a way to support it. So whenever you make the decision that you want to actually offer a certain functionality or product, but you can't do it on your own, think about cooperating with other companies. So one example, and this example is here. Bill, where are you? So it's over there. It's Bill Park from Deep Dive. So when we sell the single articles from our journals, obviously there are a lot of people out there who really want to rent them only and not to buy it at this very high price point that we demand. So obviously there is a need for offering rentals of articles. We are not able to do it with our in-house system, so that's why we cooperate with Deep Dive, and they do the job for us. So, and it obviously works. So that's it for today. So I hope I was able to give you some insights on what we have done to trigger some more interest on look into what direct sales could mean for your company, how to do it. If you have further questions, so you can ask at the end of the panel or try to shoot me a note. I'm happy to answer. Thank you very much.